Gangneung, South Korea. Jocelyn Lamoureux Davidson skated slowly back and forth toward the net, showing forehand, then leaning quickly to the left to fake a backhand that pulled Canadian goalie Shannon Sabados out of the crease. On the sport's biggest stage, against the Americans' greatest rival, with all her teammates leaning eagerly over the boards watching her every move, the three-time Olympian came back to her forehand to finish off a dazzling, triple deke move by sliding the puck into the net past the outstretched glove of Sabados for the deciding goal in the sixth round of a shootout thriller. "I knew when that went in that Maddie was going to stop the next one," Lamoureux Davidson said. That would be 20-year-old goalie Maddie Rooney, who stuffed the last two Canadian shooters to wrap up a 3-2 victory Thursday that snapped the Americans' 20-year gold medal drought and ended Canada's bid for a fifth straight title in the first shootout in an Olympic women's final. The Americans piled over the boards, throwing gloves in the air before piling on top of Rooney on the ice 20 years after the last gold medal in women's hockey and 38 years to the day after the men's famous Miracle on Ice victory over the Soviet team in group play at Lake Placid. "Joy's the only word that comes to mind," said Gigi Marvin, a three-time Olympian and at 30 the oldest American on the roster. This victory capped a year that started with the Americans threatening a boycott of the World Championships to secure more money and the same kind of treatment that USA Hockey gives to the men's team. "They should make a movie on it," forward Hilary Knight said. "We had all the drama and everything. It's sort of a storybook ending to an incredible series of accomplishments." Nothing was more incredible than the move by Lamoureux Davidson, who decided to use the deke called "Oops, I Did It Again," something she had practiced uncounted times in practice, skating around tires set up on open ice to mimic defenders. "I'm just thrilled beyond words," the beaming Lamoureux Davidson said with a US flag draped around her shoulders and gold hanging on her chest. "I've butchered it 1,000 times, just ran into tires, tripped over tires just working on my hands. Just glad it worked out this time." Her twin, Monique Lamoureux Mirando, said coach Peter Elander, now at Ohio State, had taught the sisters the shootout move when the three were at the University of North Dakota. "Not everyone can take the pressure like that, and she took it like a champ," she said. Marvin and Amanda Kessel also scored in the shootout, another nail-biter ending 4 years after Canada won its fourth straight gold medal in Sochi after rallying to stun the Americans in overtime. Knight gave the U.S. a 1-0 lead with 25.4 seconds left in the first, redirecting a shot from Sydney Morin through Zarbados's pads to give the Americans a jolt of energy. That lasted only 2 minutes into the second when Hayley Irwin tipped a mid-air pass from Blair Turnbull over Rooney's left leg for Canada. And when Morin lost the puck, Melody Dowse grabbed it and passed to Megan Agosta, who hit Marie-Philippe Poulin for the wrister into the left side of the net at 6:55 for a 2-1 lead. Lamoureux Mirando tied it up with a breakaway with 6:21 left in regulation. Knight also had a goal and Rooney was spectacular, making 29 saves for the win. Rooney stopped the last two Canadian shooters in the shootout in Brianne Jenner and then Agosta on her second attempt. Pressure. Rooney's grin was clear to see throughout the shootout. "Right before she came down, I just looked over at the bench and saw my teammates like pointing at me, just one more," Rooney said. "And to have their support made it a whole lot easier. I just reacted to her, and then everything kind of went into a blur." It was sweet redemption for the 10 Americans who watched the Canadians snatch gold away in Sochi. Not only did the Americans end the Canadians' stranglehold on Olympic gold, they ended a skid of 5 straight against their rival coming into this game, including a 2-1 loss in the tournament a week ago. "It is everything for our country," U.S. coach Rob Stober said. "I am just so thankful for the outcome. It was a thrilling final. It was unreal." Poulin and Irwin each scored goals for Canada. Agosta and Dowse scored in the shootout. The Canadians, who had pushed the Americans around for much of the game and taken penalties for it, wept on the ice as they accepted their silver medals. Jocelyn Larrick took hers off immediately and held it in her hands as the Americans stood nearby awaiting their gold. "It's just hard," Larrick said. "You work so hard. We wanted gold but didn't get it." The Canadians said they didn't like the shootout format, preferring overtime to settle a game of such magnitude. "We've trained so hard," Agosta said. "It's unfortunate this had to come down to a shootout. When it comes down to a shootout it can be anybody's game." Added Canada coach Laura Schuler, "There's not a lot of words that can describe how you feel. It was a great game of hockey." It's what we expected, back-and-forth hockey. The Americans had dominated the women's game in non-Olympic years, winning the last 4 and 8 of the last 10 World Championships, including a 3-2 overtime victory over Canada last spring. It only made the lack of gold at the Olympics all the more noticeable, and Canada has been in their way since losing the inaugural gold in Nagano in 1998. Canada had won 24 straight Olympic Games to go along with those 4 consecutive gold medals, a streak of success in a women's team sport second only to the U.S. basketball team's current streak of 6 straight gold. This was the 8th time these North American rivals had met in the Olympics and the 5th with gold on the line. None has been decided by more than 2 goals. Stober went with Rooney in net after she won the only 3 games the U.S. took from Canada last fall during a pre-Olympic exhibition tour. And like Lamoureux Davidson, the youngster delivered in the biggest moment. "Everything got into a blur, seeing my teammates sprinting at me," Rooney said. "It's an indescribable feeling." More Up Olympic coverage, https://wintergames.app.org. Follow Teresa M. Walker at http://www.twitter.com/teresa